Action.
We are recording.
All right, I'd like to welcome everyone to the Works and Services Committee meeting on Thursday the 19th of June 2025. Open the meeting, have a record of attendance. We have no apologies, as I'm aware.
Through the Chair, just the apologies is the Executive Support Officer who is away on leave, hence notes. I'll be taking notes for this meeting.
And we need a mover and a seconder for the minutes of the Works and Services Committee meeting held on the 20th of March 2025, that it be a true and correct record.
I'll move, Chair. One correction, the date. I think it's the 20th of the 3rd was our last meeting.
20th of March?
Of March.
Oh. Sorry, are you saying that's correct or
No,
not
no,
correct?
the 18th of July is what I have.
Yeah, my apologies for that. Yeah, I've made that note.
And happy to move with that correction.
Do I have a seconder? Councillor Puchkas. All right, with that we'll go through the Works and Services program and the different areas, so I'll hand over to Greg to run us through that.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. With our road construction, we have completed the Old Beverley Road. I think it's come up satisfactorily. We took a fair bit of time on the second round to make sure that everything was completed to a fairly good standard. So, congratulate the crew for stepping up to complete that works to a fairly satisfactory standard. Bruce Rock Corrigan Road Wheatbelt South Freight Network update. We've had discussions with the Wheatbelt Freight Network organisers. I've got the survey organised for the first 7 kilometres. That should be done in July, August. To do the actual ground survey prior to any design work. I've already organised the geotechnical service to get done because we need ground monitoring and samples of what's actually there before we can actually design the second stage of the works. Once all that's done, we get all the reports back, we can actually do the final design on pavement thicknesses and what sort of stabilisation or what we have to do to get the road to that design standard, which is a 40-year lifespan. So we've got to be very correct on what we do on how we design the actual the surface, because as you would know, it's going through that Salt Lake country. So we've got to be pretty sure of what we put down is going to be the correct methodology of building the road to that standard. With the what else have we got? Road maintenance.
Sorry, through the Chair,
Yep.
if it's okay, can I just add a couple of points on that
certainly.
with regards to, whilst acknowledging satisfaction with regards to the completion of Beverley Road, I think it's really important to also point out to the committee that there has been significant work and discussions between myself and the Works and Services Manager regarding that work being undertaken and completion. There was some redress that needed to occur. We've worked hard to get the road completed, but at the same time we will be working to further improve our road construction processes as we progress. It took a little bit longer than what we wanted, and we did have to reset some of the levels at times. So we've been proactively working to address some of the issues that you have regarding road construction. Weather has played a part, but there is certainly more to discuss in that particular area.
Thank you for that. Road maintenance update. We have started a bit of maintenance grading. At the moment, we're just waiting for a little bit more moisture, but we've got the graders out there, and we're going to start we're going to start from Old Beverley Road, start down that way. I'm splitting up the crews at this stage, just so they can work together. So instead of mobilising a grader all the way back here, we're going to start from down there and start from over there and just start working together. And that's going to be a different strategy of maintenance grading compared to our older style where we had all the crews together, 2 rollers, 4 graders and all that sort of stuff. I'm going to split them up at this stage just to see how it works, whether productivity is going to be a little bit better. So this will be just a short trial on maintenance grading on where the actual plant is now, instead of mobilising back and wasting a bit of time in that strategy.
Just through the chair, is that that was the way we used to do it, and in years gone by, have the 2 groups instead of having all in one.
One would start north and one would start
Yeah.
south and
Yep.
work their way back towards town.
That's the way, through the chair, that's the way I've always had my crews in previous places doing it. So we're just going to go back to that to just see how it goes. And if needed, we'll bring in contractors to fill a bit of a gap just because of the moisture. If we're not going to get that rain, we just really got to close it in really quickly to get that program done.
And through the chair, can I just say, if we do bring in contractors, just in accordance with council's and the Shire's priorities with regards to employing local contractors, we would put an EOI out, and our preference would be to try and encourage local business to contribute from a contractual perspective before ever having to go outside of the Shire to attract that contracted work.
Yep, that's correct. That's our thoughts. Bridge maintenance. Both bridges have been completed, the Erican South and North Road. The guys did an excellent job, as you would be aware, on their quality of work. The Erican South Road was a big structure. It's 32 metres long. They finished yesterday cleaning up. I haven't actually been out there on site to see the final job, but I'm pretty sure that everything will be nice and tidy and neat and everything. So well done to the guys that have done all that work.
And that road's been reopened now, hasn't it?
Yes, it's open. All the signs are up out of the way again. We just got to, when we're doing our maintenance grading, we're just going to cart in a couple of loads of gravel just to top it up on that section. But we'll do that when we've got the maintenance graders out there. Footpath maintenance. It's just a normal town sort of maintenance, trying to keep the paths clean for pedestrians and all that. So there's not much happening there except for our general maintenance sort of work, routine maintenance. Drainage and infrastructure maintenance is we're just got a bit of a crew going around patching roads, plus looking at drainage issues. Hopefully I can get out in the field shortly and do a road run and identify if there's any issues with drainage. But I'll itemise that to the crews and target that so we don't have any blockages or anything like that over the roads. The plant maintenance, myself, the works workshop manager and the CR are looking through what plant we've actually got, what's necessary, what's unserviceable, or what's if there's issues with them. So we're doing a program on utilising of what we've got, how we're using it, whether it's being used, if it's not worth, if it's going to cost too much to fix, all that sort of stuff. So we can put a plan together to say, well, okay, this is what we want, this is what we need. We can probably get rid of some surplus plant if required, but we've got to put all that sort of work together to conduct anything before we sell anything, to make perfectly sure that we're making the right decision, and all that will come back through the Works and Services Committee.
And through the chair, we are actually in the process of constructing a plant maintenance schedule, which is a holistic overview of all the plant that we have. It's fortuitous that we're actually going through budget time and we've got the plant registers. So we're actually developing a plant maintenance So a proactive plant maintenance schedule, obviously we have to account for reactive maintenance as well. That scheduling and that kind of governance and compliance process regarding works and services is something that we'll be implementing into the new financial year, and that's alongside the development of a works and services schedule that overarches all of the particular service areas. The work that we're doing, they will have almost like a schedule, so that from a stranger perspective you can look in and you can see what it is that we should be doing within that schedule, and we're tracking progress, all part of the compliance piece going forward, and that's also applicable to plant maintenance as well.
Thank you for that. With the road patching, like I said, we have got a crew out there at the moment targeting some fairly bad spots, and as we know, there's a lot of bad spots, so we're pretty well just trying to target the ones that we really know about and on the high traffic areas, and any customer requests that come in, we're targeting them. We have got the truck that we had in auction, we've got that back, bought that back last week, and that's being utilised within the fleet doing other bits and pieces. We're looking at setting up the spray unit on that truck at the moment, so we've just got to sort it all out, getting ready for the spray season. That truck will be used as the spray truck, the sign truck, and it's got the tipper on the back, so we can utilise it with parks and gardens, and if someone wants a couple of tonne of dirt here or there or anywhere, it's one of those, we're just going to versatile that truck to have it as an all-rounder. The other original patching truck, we've got concerns with the gearbox with that. We had it sent down to the dealership to sort it out, and it's because it's a manual automatic electronic sort of truck, they've indicated that it's going to cost up to 25 grand to fix. So our thoughts were to auction that truck off, because it's we won't be utilising that truck in our fleet, and to spend $25,000 odd on it, I think that would be a waste of money for council to get it fixed, as it's a fairly old truck. So that's our decision. We're going to put it into auction as is, and just to see how much we'll get for it.
And to the Chair, I think it's fair to say, when that raised its head, there have been conversations with the Chair of Works and Services, etc., regarding that particular process. The fact that to fix it costs more than what we would get for it at auction. Again, fortuitous perhaps that the truck that was down for auction was still available and therefore able to be utilised.
Yep, thank you for that. And we have got the other smaller truck in use as a patching truck at the moment, but we will, once we get the multi-patcher, which is due in December, we'll be looking at, and thoughts of the committee as well, was to offload that to auction as well, because I don't think we need all those smaller trucks, they're fairly old trucks, to remove that from our fleet, auction it off, and then use what we've got at the moment until we get this new structure on what plant is actually required and what we need moving forward. Compliance requirements.
Through the Chair, I'm just wondering, Greg, if through the Chair, once you've touched on that,
Yep.
maybe I can talk to the compliance
Yes,
piece first and
certainly.
then add to that, if
Yep.
that's okay.
Yep.
And Chair, can I just go back to the truck? And I'm wondering, in other circumstances with the gearbox, that look around at the wreckers for a second-hand gearbox, finding out the history of that gearbox just to get that truck operational, considering it'd probably only do 5,000-10,000 k's a year.
Mhm.
Has that been done at all? Instead of renewing the whole gearbox, which is out,
Yes,
we won't be doing.
we haven't explored that, but they did give us two things to look at. They said, listen, we've got the truck here, that's not working, it's obviously an internal issue. They said it's going to cost about 5 grand for us to pull it out, inspect it. It might be a simple fix, but if it's not, it's either going to be 5 grand for them to do that, or if they pull it down and say it's US, it's going to cost 25 grand for the new one, plus the 5 grand that they've spent on pulling it down to identify it. But certainly before we make any decisions, I will, if it's the committee's wish, I will look at second-hand gearboxes before we make an actual decision, if that's the feel for the committee.
From my own point of view, I think it would be good to explore all our options, so that we've got all the options on the table before any final decisions made on that as to what direction we take, so that everyone knows what it actually
The actual cost.
means. Yeah.
Yep, certainly we can go down that avenue.
Is there any other views on that?
Yeah, just for the chair, I guess that's not a bad line to go down. I'm just thinking that top of my head there, that model truck and what it is, I think we're battling to find one anyway, regardless. But let's not bloody try and go down the lines and have a look anyway, just in case.
Yep, certainly we'll explore that avenue, because we haven't actually made any decisions yet. It's still down at the dealership. So we can, before we make any moves, I can look at second-hand gearboxes just to get a schedule and report back once I've got some indication on costs and all that sort of stuff back to the committee.
To the Chair, that's prior to, so the committee's still comfortable to bring the truck that was originally up for auction back. This is just about before we auction, actually, to see if we can, and determination can be made whether or not we keep it as a, as a side option, or even if there is a second and you spend a couple of grand, you might get a little bit more bang for our buck at the end of the day at auction. So we'll follow up on that.
Yep, thank you for that.
So from a compliance perspective, just from the outset, your committee will notice that I've added items to the standing agenda. So some of those items, which I go through, I believe are certainly matters that we will be attending to over the next 12 months. Certainly from a resourcing perspective, things have been quite challenging and tight. And so we are aware that there are additional compliances that we need to work to address, hence why we're bringing in the role of the technical officer, which is that bespoke role that will actually undertake all of the necessary inspections and compliances associated. If we consider that there is the necessity for us to update our RAM information through road assessment and inspections, that for us, that work being a priority in 2025-26 will quite potentially identify additional funding opportunities through that piece of work. And the technical officer's role as part of a soft restructure in the works and services, we know that that role will significantly add value and support the compliance requirements of that department. And we'll be working on clearly articulated priorities as part of key deliverables in 25-26. We will be looking at and reviewing and plans and programs such as road construction and maintenance, certainly our road maintenance plan, rather than doing a 10-year road maintenance plan, incorporating that into an asset management plan as well, but we'll be doing a 5-year plan as opposed to a 10-year plan, and we would look forward to bringing that to council in 25-26, along with a revisited plant asset replacement and management plan, as well as bridge maintenance, footpath maintenance, and other infrastructure maintenance and replacement. I think there's an opportunity for us to review documentation and present that to council so that we're completely clear on what we need to achieve and how we resource that, the required works over the coming year or two. Greg, is there anything that you want to add on the compliance side of things?
Just the bridge inspections and that, we need to do them every year as well for our own benefit, plus it updates us on future or the priority of bridges that are needed to be replaced. We've got a list now that it's got 5 different priorities as listed, but that hasn't been inspected for a couple of years, so we need to get on top of that to make sure we do our inspections so we can get the funding to replace these bridges to culverts.
And I think it's important, while we've got a crew that have got the capabilities at the moment of constructing bridges, that we make sure that we've got a schedule there, that they are not waiting
Yep.
for another bridge. That it's all done, ready for them to each year carry on with bridge construction. So,
So that'll be part of the technical officer's role, to make sure that everything's ready for the crews to just go out there and start work, so they're not waiting on bits and pieces or traffic management or anything like that. They'll have a schedule to go to, so that they'll just go straight in with all the gear they need to achieve that bridge construction or any other construction. That's the plan of the role of the tech officer. The footpath maintenance and all that sort of stuff, we really need to inspect our footpaths, because it's all public spaces and all that. So ideally they are getting inspected, but they're not getting recorded, and all this sort of stuff isn't getting recorded to say that we have done that on that time. So that's a new part of the roles that the tech officer will be undertaking in that field. So it's going to be a win-win for the Shire to have all that sort of data ready, and even for future funding as well. If we've got the data, we can get the funding if it comes up. So
Just through the chair, just on the recording and stuff, is it are you able to do that through just an app on a phone? I know through my work we have an app on our phones that we walk around the depot when we can record on what's good and what's not. And so then you've got that, once it's all been logged in, it's all logged onto the app, and that goes back into the system. And just simple things like that, instead of having a bundle of paper. And if there's look into, I'm pretty sure out there'll be something of an app to log in this information on a phone. Simple. It's the one I do is very simple.
Mm-hmm.
So just a food for thought. That's all.
Yep. Through the chair, we have got through the RAM database that captures. I've actually got a tablet, so I can go out and identify every pothole, every culvert, every guidepost, everything there. But footpaths, parks, it's like a one-stop shop. We have got the gear. We're paying a subscription yearly to have that. It's not being fully utilised at the moment. So when the technical officer role actually takes place, that tablet will be in the vehicle all the time, and it's just a matter of going out. It's all GPS located. You can take photos, everything like that. It's all on there. So it can not only do roads and infrastructure, do parks, footpaths, capture trees. It's pretty well a one-stop shop. So you've just got to. At the moment, we're just not using it to update our data. So that will be the role of the tech officer, to make sure that all that stuff's in one place, and if you want information, we can just press a button and just go straight to it and get reports out. And thank you for your comments there, Councillor. It was, but yeah, we've got the data, but we're not actually using it as fully as we should be at the moment.
all right. So the dam and water capturing works.
To the chair, I would just, we will have the intention at the information session as well, because it's got diagrams. In the interest of time, there will be a much more comprehensive conversation regarding our engagement with DWR, but just reiterating a couple of points from myself before handing over to Manager of Works and Services. We have been, or should I say, the Manager of Works and Services has been actively engaging along with myself with DWR through Sandy Turton Parkinson, and we have a number of projects, probably about 7 pieces of work, 2 grant applications in, all associated with optimising water collection and storage, knowing that if you consider at the moment our road maintenance, we use scheme water, so there is work. DWR are coming to the table with regards to the funding and the procurement of all the equipment and items, and it's been a really positive engagement process that has been pretty active over the last few days in finalising plans. We've got, as we mentioned before, we've got the grant for desilting of the Turkey Nest Dam, the bore drilling project as well, that's submitted as grant funding. And then associated that there's various different works which include expanding the catchment area regarding the Rec Centre Dam, about a 1.4 hectare catchment area potentially, with the use of bentonite to assist in capturing as much water as we can that will flow into the Rec Centre Dam based on the usage required, all subject to the rain falling of course. The depot putting guttering and tanks, and also the Watercorp Dam that's opposite, which I think will be called Curry Dam going forward. The wall, the line that runs down into the dam is still in good shape, but we are looking at running piping and putting tanks around the depot and on the other side of the road where the current scheme tank is, another tank and a manifold there, as well as a number of other projects, all of optimising the airstrip. Dwyer come to the table with regards to the provision of tanks for getting water bomber capability, and there's more conversations and compliance there. So there's a lot of work underway with regards to optimising the opportunity to seek funding from Dwyer and get the works done. And I certainly think we'll talk about that more at length. Happy to take any sort of questions on that now, and also Greg, if there's anything you want to update on what I'm saying. Otherwise, at the information session, I will actually be putting visuals up on the screen as well.
Through the chair, I think you've captured everything that we're up to at the moment. Thank you for that, Mr. CEO.
Yeah, Chair, just comment on that, and there is a fair bit in that work, and I'm wondering and hoping that this committee will be involved with it, and even with site meetings, to actually see it with regards to catchments at the Rec Centre Dam and other things, because there have been other, this isn't the first time these things have been spoken about, and some things work, some things don't, so just to include the committee.
Through the Chair, I'm very, very happy to take that as an action and make sure that when we're having conversations, the conversations that we've had at the moment have been with Works and Services, Recreation Manager and myself. Expanding and opening that up to the committee, I think, is a really good suggestion, Councillor, and I'll make sure that is undertaken.
And there's a couple of other bits that, when we discuss it,
Yep.
that I've looked at that we could possibly add to that.
Certainly.
Mainly at the CBH site.
Mm-hmm.
We capture a reasonable amount of water off there, but there's still a lot of work that could be done to actually capture all of that water. So
through the chair, we have through the chair, we have discussed that with Dwyer. That's one of their target property projects. They're actually at the moment contacting CBH to get that the Shackleton CBH bin, Ardith and all that. They're right on top of all that, but they've got to have the discussions with CBH, and I'm pretty sure that CBH are on board with Dwyer to get as much catchment as they can. I've actually been down on site with this one and had a look at where actually the water runs and all that sort of stuff, so I'm familiarising myself with the projects, but with working with the Works Service Committee, Dwyer, and our local knowledge with our staff, I think we can get some really good projects going, and information from you guys, because
And through the chair, I'll add to that, by having a more in-depth conversation regarding this particular work, it is about capturing. We've put forward what we think there may well be some other initiatives that we could very quickly pick up, and the more projects that we have, the more opportunity to get it funded and done by Dwyer. So, a timely conversation to be had.
All right, moving on. Regional and subgroup meetings. And did you want to touch any more on the week or secondary freight conversation you
Um,
made, or save it?
To the chair, look, I can come back to the Week Bob Secondary Freight Network. Just with regards to that meeting, Greg and I met with the director and the operations or program manager, just to confirm with them that the process of getting quotes for the survey work, as mentioned by Manager of Works and Services, will be undertaken, and a budget that needs to be submitted for that. We talked about 7 kilometres, but the reality is we can adjust that. It can be 5, it can be 4, etc. The other piece, but assurances that is getting done, and then the budget for that actual construction work to be submitted this side of the calendar year. And then in March we'll be submitting the development phase budget for the remaining 33 kilometres for the Bruce Rock Corrigin road. So a good conversation there, and we're very clear about what we need to be done, and Manager of Works and Services has been very proactive. We've already got the quotes and getting the work. It is a very busy time. The people that know that deliver the quality surveying, etc., and the geotech are extremely busy, but I think we've got them online and within our time frames. Greg, would that be a fair reflection?
That's correct, yep.
Yeah. So on that side of things, from a subgroup meeting perspective, I believe we're almost on the cusp of handing over to another local government. I think that we probably need to have one more meeting, which should happen in July, and then we're handing over to that, and then we will then soon move into election period. And so after that, once the elections are completed, we'll be in speaking with Ali Hunt. I think a subgroup meeting around about November will be recommended to have to kick that process and committee function off again. That's really all I have. Just reminding committee members that in the standing agenda, this is what we're introducing and socialising, so that we have complete coverage on that. Nothing else to add there, Chair.
All right, so finance, 25-26 budget and reserves management.
Yeah, thank you. Very, probably the most significant part, in acknowledging that the council's focus and priority is our infrastructure, our roads. So very much the work that we are doing through the executive team has a strong focus on consolidation, maintenance and investment with regards to wanting obviously the procurement of the multi-patcher, from which the deposit has been paid, and again expecting that in December. But again, it is the budget's theme and focus for presentation and discussion to council, because it's council's budget and council will decide whether it's happy with it or not. Certainly our recommendation and focus is on consolidating and maintaining, doing work on what we've currently got, rather than investing into significant new projects that draw additional muni funds, time and effort. I think it's also looking at reserve management strategies as well, to see how we can optimise investment and actually spend some time putting some money back into our reserves that give us that opportunity that aligns to our plant asset replacement. So I think, and again, just a thought with regards to the multi-patcher. We know that we have a lot of road maintenance and that to manage, but also the opportunity there from a when you look at the cost benefit analysis of that significant acquisition, the opportunity there for it to also generate revenue that can actually lead to a good investment strategy for our broader and wider plant replacement and reserve investment. So just some thoughts there. I don't know if anyone's got any comments or thoughts regarding that, but that's certainly what we'll be socialising as part of the budget going forward.
So that covers that. So other matters? Yeah.
Through the chair, thank you. Look, merely what I've done there is I've just put some suggested other matters. Sometimes might sit there blank, but certainly the making sure what I'd like to bring to committee as part of this process going forward into next year. There's a number of additional compliances and reporting that we do to Main Road regarding the funding, the work that's been done, project status, and so that will also be, if the committee deems that relevant and in the air of openness and transparency with regards to what we're doing, really happy to bring those reports and give an update to committee on the actual funding components. Certainly for me as new CEO, it's useful as I'm learning and getting more familiar with those particular processes. Certainly I think that there's some value at times to come back where there's pertinent points to be raised regarding any of the reporting that we do, and certainly around funding and looking for opportunities to increase our funding capability for our infrastructure. For me, really, the committee governance focusing on, again, I've put it in there just to reiterate our strong focus on our compliance and just reiterating the technical officer appointment as part of a soft restructure. And then I've just put there as a highlight, I don't have anything else, but unless any committee members have any other general matters that need to be discussed, because the agenda is there. If any committee member has a suggestion that there might be something missing, or I don't know that we need to talk about that, really happy to evolve this agenda so that it is a very extremely or a more meaningful conversation as well, and look for improvement opportunities in that space.
Anyone got anything to add at this point?
Chair, just one thing, something that we had spoken about quite a few years ago and we didn't follow through to the level that I would like. For example, the Old Beverley Road with the levels and the gravel and the delays there, say it was 2 weeks, but the cost associated with that loss of time. The work we did earlier was about if there were, graders, trucks, so many staff out there, a daily cost of that, and then just multiply that time, as simple as that, just so we've got a ballpark.
Through the Chair, I think that's a really good suggestion, would sit comfortably within a finance update. With the work that we've done for the budget and the templates that we use, actually against every works and services job that we do, has the breakdown of labour hours, and then we can actually very easily do that comparative with what actually it cost versus what the job was. But there's a breakdown in there as well to plant usage, to materials and contractors, etc. So I'll actually, if committee is comfortable with that, I'll actually make a point of wanting to introduce, and maybe for the Old Beverley Road, I think if the committee's comfortable, we can probably do a little bit of financial analysis for the next meeting. If you're happy with that, I'll take that as an action.
I think that'd be
very good idea.
And going forward, I think if we, with construction jobs, if we have a budget sort of set on what is expected and see what that was and where it ends up, so we, moving forward, can keep up with whether there's enough being budgeted on these jobs, or whether the crews that are doing it aren't delivering on time, whatever it may be. But I think it would be really good, as Steve pointed out, to have a real breakdown so we can actually, at the end of the completion of the job, actually see where we landed with each job.
Yeah, Chair, and even a step further with that comparison with contracting versus our own, and their weighting in there for skill sets as well. So it'd be very useful for everyone.
No?
Yep, no, that's a good point.
All right. So date for the next. Oh, sorry.
Just through the chair, Greg, I haven't seen the Erican South Bridge since they've cleaned it up, but I did see it about 3 or 4 days ago. And as usual, Vern's standard is impeccable. He doesn't only think it's a job, he takes a great deal of pride in his work, and I just thought, if you agree, once you see it, that that could be conveyed so that he does realise that he is appreciated.
Yep, no, certainly. I know through the chair, I have commented all the way through both projects that he's done, how his quality of work is above expectations, and his work ethics are just brilliant. And his crew, he's guided his crew terrifically. They're only a young crew, but he's a very good leader. His crew respect him, and that they respect the work that they all do. and I'll certainly let him know that that council and the committee are very happy with his works.
Thank you. So yeah, the day of the next meeting, so just around that, it's just, would it be an idea to do a bit of a tour of the Shire in coming months? When we've got some time, just to have a look
That'd
up
be an
and
idea.
just combine, once we know where these maybe combine a bit of that with looking at some of these projects that have been done, like a bridge and a few, just so that everyone can.
Yep.
So at some point we do a bit of an inspection,
Yep.
if that would be.
Through the chair, would the committee feel that that's something that can be done aside from council day, or something that's...
Yeah.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah, great,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
I think there's been
Well, just pick a day that we can, that's everyone's convenient.
certainly. Is that something around July or
Yeah,
August? So would
July.
July be a time?
July's better than the best time.
Yeah. So look, we'll have a conversation. We'll liaise with your chair and put out some suggested dates and get the bus ramped up.
So I think it'd be good just
Great
with the
idea.
water project, just to have a look at them, and hopefully in that period of time it has rained and it's wet, and you'll actually be able to see where some water flows, where we miss water that's there that we could be capturing, and just have a look at that, and some road projects that are being done and ones that are upcoming and that. So yeah.
That'll be very timely, especially as we mentioned before, the opportunities for funding for July. So I'll take an action to plan a Shire tour of relevant works and services projects and programs and works.
Yep. And so as for an actual meeting, do we just hold off on that at the moment till
So-
we're sort of in the new financial year?
Yeah. To be confirmed,
Yeah.
but I would imagine it will be looking around that August time potentially. We'll work on that.
All right. Is there any other matters of discussion? If not, with that, we'll close the meeting. Thanks for coming.